Hello, welcome friends. Welcome back to the Palmer's Teaching Kitchen at the Shotland Family YMCA. I'm Chef Tom here again with you for our Wednesday afternoon meal. They seem to be working out really great. We're getting a lot of wonderful comments, so please give us comments. We really kind of enjoy that stuff. It's great feedback for us, and if you have anything that you would like to see us create for you, and we'd be happy to give it a shot. So today we're going to do something a little unique. It's once again, it's kind of one of those family style meals that I think work out really well for everybody these days. It's certainly getting nice out, the sun is shining, and these are terrific meals to make ahead of time and then have available to, you know, when everybody is ready to eat in the evening. You can take it out to the back patio and enjoy your meal together as a family. So Tuscan white bean and kale casserole is today's feature today. So we're going to do a few things with it. So it's typically a skillet meal, so I like to have a nice fry pan, but this one's a little small for what we're going to do today. So if you are in the same situation where your skillet is a little tiny, we're going to use a little bigger pot right here. This is like a rondeau style pot, so it's going to be perfect to do our saute work in and create our skillet. Some of our ingredients today, obviously, is kale. Kale is a little tough to eat raw. It's definitely cooks up a little nicer. It's got a real bitter flavor to it. So for today, I've washed the kale out. You can just buy these at this grocery store. Big package. They last in the fridge a long time, but I'm just going to go down the side here and cut this rib right out of the leaf itself. So we don't need that. We'll put that into our compost pile. And the rest gets sort of chopped up here. Real easy. You don't have to get too crazy with it, just sort of a rough chop, and we'll stick it into our colander bowl. We've already washed it. In addition to the kale, I also found some spinach in our refrigerator as well, probably from last week. So we're going to throw that into the mix today as well. So our chicken is diced up. I went ahead and diced our chicken, so I wanted to get that started at least. And we are going to marinate that just a little bit. So for our marinade, we're going to pour about a tablespoon of olive oil into the chicken. Take it about ice here. And then I have another tablespoon of a blended combination of seasonings I put together. It's mostly thyme and oregano. There's a little black pepper in there and a couple of white pepper flakes to boot. So those will go in the bowl together, and then for our acid today, we're going to add about a half a cup, maybe a little less, about a quarter of a cup of a blush style wine. This is a Pinot Noir. It's got a nice flavor to it, and it will be perfect to help marinate our chicken with the olive oil and all those beautiful herbs. So we'll just stir that in there for the time being and then move on to our skillet. Okay, so set that aside. In our skillet over here, I've got the heat up good and high. I've just went ahead and tucked that in. I'm going to start with, again, a little bit of our olive oil. Don't need a whole lot this time, just about a half of a tablespoon or about a teaspoon, and we'll swirl that around, and then in go our onions. I used white onions today, and I sliced them a long ways instead of diced. I think it's just a different way to maybe have it sometimes, and kind of unique. So we'll let those start sauteing. All right. Oop. There we go. All right. We're going to get these cooking up a little bit, and I'll just review some of our other ingredients. As always, you know me, garlic. This is plenty of garlic today. About 4 cloves. I'm going to put that right into the pot with the onions and start cooking that, so that gives it a chance to soften up a little bit. Okay. White beans, of course, that's the other part to the white bean casserole. So once our garlic and onions cut up a little bit, start to cook. I also have sun-dried tomatoes. Now these are julienne strip sun-dried tomatoes. You can buy dry ones and cut them yourself, but it certainly is a lot easier to go ahead and buy the ones that are already julienne cut. And I tend to buy the ones that are packed in oil too for these types of dishes. That little extra oil, not only does it add a little flavor and a little fat for how delicious it is, but in addition, it helps kind of saute things. That's why I didn't use a tremendous amount of oil with my onions and garlic to begin with. So that goes into the pot, and we start stir frying. Okay, On to my mise en place again. After the sun-dried tomatoes, we have regular tomatoes too. This is just a can of diced tomatoes. I like the flavored ones. These are nice. This is just a plain, simple diced tomato. I leave the juice in because I want that juice to help sort of create a nice gravy inside that stir fry for us when we're ready to go. Artichoke hearts, 1 can, simply drain, and I cut them into quarters. You can buy them quartered if you like that, or you can try to use fresh ones, but that's a whole other class, to be honest with you. And then, of course, some capers. A lot of us have capers into the refrigerator. It's a terrific dish. It adds a little bite, a little salt to it. It's a nice little feature for this Tuscan style cuisine, and I think you're going to enjoy the little complementary flavor that puts on. Of course, a little lemon juice, because I'm always big on adding the acid in there and balancing the flavor of everything out. So in goes the lemon juice, and then salt, pepper, and some of my favorite smoked paprika is ready to go too. So you can tell by looking at this how that's cooked up nicely. Softens the onions. The garlic is starting to caramelize and brown, and the tomatoes are cooking as well. So in goes the chicken now. So once that stuff is ready to go, wine and marinade and herbs, everything goes right into the pot. Nice high flame or high heat. Gonna keep this thing cooking. That chicken step could be easily replaced with a pork tenderloin cut up into small pieces, or if you like hard tofu, the stiff tofu is very nice in the stir fry. Or if you just want to go strictly vegetarian, you can go ahead and just omit the protein portion of it, because we do have protein coming in from our beans. Right into the pot. Once again, I drain those out. If you've ever bought canned beans before, you do know that they are packed in water, so it's a good idea to just give those a quick rinse when you're draining them out, which is what I did. This is coming together very quickly. It's very nice. Yeah. Okay. On with the tomatoes. I'm just going to give this 1 minute to catch up the heat. All right. And in goes my can of chopped tomatoes. Starting to look like a nice ragu. Okay. And we'll put in our artichoke hearts. My favorite. I have a lot of favorites. Did you notice that? Oh, this is really building up nicely. Okay. So, time to give it a little salt and pepper. Just a quick seasoning. Okay, my smoked paprika. I like the sweet flavor of this, so I'm going to put in, about a teaspoon or so. If you don't have smoked paprika, regular paprika works. Or you could use a little cayenne pepper if you want a little zing in there. Nothing wrong with that. That garlic. Okay. On to the capers. We'll just drop those in. And a little bit of the acid. Love that lemon. You could always add a little bit more wine if you wanted to. I think we're good with the wine on this one. That's why I put the lemon juice in here as well. Okay, and then last, our combination of well, actually, you can take a look at that now. It's nice and bubbly and coming together nicely. Our spinach and our kale goes right in after we washed it and we chopped it, and it's going to wilt down for us and sort of give a whole lot of body to this dish. You can see why I used a great big pot versus the little skillet. Although this is a skillet dish, and hopefully you have a skillet at home that's sizable enough to handle this, but if you don't, these big pots come in pretty handy for this.
Where do you buy capers in the store?
That's a good question. Capers come from, well, if you're going down, if you're going to shop at Wegmans, which clearly we do, we shop at Wegmans, the aisle where they have oils and vinegars and seasonings and stuff like that, Tuscan style Italian foods, if you will. You can find them right down in that particular aisle there with the vinegar and the oil and the spices and stuff like that. You'll probably find them where the tomato sauce is too. They tend to spread things out over at Danny's. That's nice. That blended spinach in there, believe it or not, really changes the taste of the kale. Kale can be very bitter and very sharp. And of course, spinach is so sweet and so soft, it kind of sweetens it up a little bit, that nice combination of the greens that are in there. So I'm just going to set this right here on high for a minute and put the lid back on. I want that steam to generate in there and wilt that spinach down, wilt that kale down for me. So it still stays a little crunchy, a little al dente style, but it does soften up and become more palatable, which is really very nice. See, these dishes get easier every week, you know? It's wonderful. Oh, I wish you could smell this, you guys. This is so good. But we're just going to move it right out into our serving dish. Oh, yeah. Now, all you need is a loaf of bread. And there's your Tuscan style white bean and kale casserole for today, or skillet casserole if you will. Hope you guys enjoyed. Try it. We'll talk to you next week. We're going to do something a little, I don't know what we're going to do next week. What would we just Oh, we're going to do something next week. But please join us again. Thanks again, guys. This is Chef Tom saying goodbye.